New looks all around. Let's do this. Hey guys, I'm CJ, and welcome to the 100th Elevated Systems video. Exactly 2 years ago when I created this channel, I wasn't really sure if I'd ever even upload a single video. Now, here I am at 100, and what better way to celebrate the 100th video than to complete what I started in the very first video I uploaded in November of 2019. In that first video, I built out the main set and office area of the channel. Then, just a few months ago, I put together this backdrop to use as a second set. And today, I'm gonna complete the setup with projects in all four corners of the room. I'm even gonna build out a third filming set in this 10 by 15 foot room. So let me just set up the four separate projects, starting with this corner. This is gonna be my camera and audio gear corner. As of right now, and for, well, the past year and a half, I don't really have a spot dedicated to store my camera and audio gear when I'm not using them. So I have a couple of floating shelves for the cameras and audio packs and receivers, and a pegboard for the tripods and gear to hang. Pretty simple build. I already have the lumber cut, so moving on to this corner. And you can probably tell from this stuff here where this is going. Yes, this is the typical tech YouTuber pegboard and workbench set. Why do so many YouTubers have this setup? Well, because it's functional and practical. The only reason I didn't do it sooner is because of the cliche-ness of it. But right now my tools are split between the Alex drawers and a pegboard in my garage. There's been so many times in the middle of filming a build or a mod where I needed a tool and I had to either walk around my workbench in front of the camera to the drawers or all the way down to my garage. Enough, I'm building a workshop space. So I'm gonna move the collapsible floating workbench from over there to over here and the pegboard above it with all my tools. Then I can swing my work desk over here for a build or mod video. Next, I need to take care of this eyesore over here. Too many times have I had to reconfigure shots to keep the ugly cardboard covered windows out of frame. I initially had a different solution, but it didn't last long. The cardboard is just for lighting control. Another easy fix or dress up. I got a nice set of blinds and a set of curtains, the same one I used for the front wall backdrop. I'm also gonna finally hang my NCO sword that was presented to me by my unit when I retired from the Army. I know most YouTubers have a sub-milestone plaque. I might get there one day, but that took me 21 years to earn. Anyway, quick build here. And finally, where the bulk of the spending went, all this stuff here to fix, update, and finish out my actual setup. So I'm gonna rearrange the displays and the studio monitors, upgrade or update the peripherals, make this a more functional and maybe a more sleek setup. There's even a custom keyboard build involved. Well, kind of. I have a whole bunch of 3D printed stuff over here that I designed and printed. I also have another solution for cable management, so I'll be redoing all my cable management because I actually did too good of a job the first time, if that makes sense, and it will. Anyway, this is the corner that will take the longest and needs the most explaining, so I guess I'll just start in the first corner over there and just time-lapse the first three builds like my first video, but with a better soundtrack, hopefully. I'll meet you back here. Okay, we're back. Let's get to what most of you probably came for, and I have to start by maybe disappointing some of you, but this is not a gaming setup in any way, shape, or form. This is my workspace, the place that I work, not the place that I play. I keep those separate. There's no gaming PC here in this room. There's my workstation, which is a 32-core, 64-thread Threadripper 2990WX with an EVGA RTX 2080 Ti, the Elevated System Special White Edition, and 64 gigabytes of G.Skill Trident Z RGB DDR4 3200 MHz CL14 memory on the Asus ROG Zenith Extreme Alpha X399 motherboard in the Factal Mashify 2, which is set up in storage mode because I have 6 8TB drives in RAID 5 for my network attached storage. There's also an AverMedia Live Gamer 4K capture card, a bunch of Thermaltake fans, and a Corsair HX1200i power supply. It's crazy to think that just a year ago, this was probably the best consumer level workstation you can build, but now it's just, not bad, but it's still the best I can build because I can't buy anything better or even equivalent at the moment. I should also address the placement of the system on the left side of the setup with just the solid panel visible and the tempered glass basically behind a bookshelf. Well, I can't move the system anywhere else. When I built the office, I ran all the display and HDMI cables inside the wall, so the display cables to displays go in here and out here. And all the fiber optic HDMI cables run from keystone outlets under the system to points around the room to send video to and from cameras and displays or other systems. So the system stays here. It's only weird because the original enclosure the system was in was the Thermaltake Level 20 XT, which is just a big aquarium with glass on all sides. That case will make a return. There's just some fabrication that needs to be completed. But in the meantime, I could turn the system so the tempered glass faces the camera like pretty much every tech YouTuber does. I'll 3D print a cable shroud to hide the cables coming out of the back, but I'll let you guys decide. Keep it like it is or turn it 90 degrees. Let me know in the comments. Majority wins. Okay, enough of that. I moved all the boxes of stuff because the first thing I need to do is get my displays situated. These are 28-inch Samsung 4K IPS displays, and I have them stacked vertically only so I could fit my Persona Studio monitors next to them. But now I 3D printed some speaker stands. This is the base and this is the platform. Once I get my display situated, I can cut this piece of 2-inch PVC pipe to the appropriate size to connect the two and stand the speakers on. And then I'll have the speakers standing behind my displays. I can also get rid of this cheap thing here. Although, in fairness, it was free. It was included with my Samsung Q2U voiceover mic, but I have a better solution for it. But I guess let's just get started. have everything pretty much where I want it. Not everything went to plan, but I'll get into all that in a bit, because first I have to get everything connected and wired up, which means I need to redo all my cable management. Now, when I first built the office, I ran all the cables I was using through the walls. All the display cabling, all the RGB wiring is inside the wall, so that's about as clean as it can get. But since I've added things like the whole audio setup, a 3D printer, and well, Frank here, I used cable conduit, and I got the very minimal slim conduit to keep everything completely out of sight, because God forbid someone like Ed from TechSource stumbled across my channel and saw wires hanging under my desk. My YouTube career would probably come to an end right there. But seriously, after going through the effort of engineering and fabricating this desk and bolting the supports directly to the studs inside the walls, I didn't want to ruin the floating effect with jumbles of wires, so I locked them all down, which is the problem. They're all locked down. All the slack is just locked into the cable conduit, so I couldn't move anything at all. These are the wires for the DAC. They're just locked in place. That DAC wasn't moving, even if I needed it to. Plus, if I added anything like, well, Frank's tank here, there's no room for more cables, and I have to regularly move the tank to clean it, so I can't lock it in place. So today, I'm gonna tear out all that conduit and replace it with this stuff, which should give me the room for the slack to still be slack, so I can take wires in and out and have room to add stuff in the future. So I think it's time for another time lapse here. So, while I was attending to those cables, something weird happened. The power went out. It's only the second time that's happened in the decade I've lived here in Colorado. Anyway, while I was able to run cameras, lighting was an issue, so I just completed all the cable management off camera, which included running the cables for the studio monitors through the stands, and I put a quick coat of matte black on the stands too. I think everything came out good. I kept it simple. I changed out the power strips to these 3-sided ones, and I just simply stored the excess wiring in the J channels. Those 3 HDMI cables are just the 6-foot cables that connect the different inputs or outputs from the keystone plates to the capture cards in my workstation, and the excess cable is just tucked inside the wall when it's not in use like it is here. And over here, all the displays and audio cables just needed a single J channel to tidy it up. Okay, now that everything is situated and connected, it's time for the peripherals. So first, I have to lay down the mouse mat. Now, you'll notice I have a dual display setup, but I'm centering the mat on the primary display, not centered on both the displays, because this is my primary display. This is where all the work gets done. This is the peripheral display. It just holds peripheral menus and info, media pools, and data that I just need to refer to. That's also why the speakers are centered on me, not the setup. Properly balanced audio is important. One thing that's important to convey about my setup is that while I have focused more on form than I typically would, because this is on camera all the time, I'll never sacrifice function for form, meaning this has to work well and be functional, not just pretty. And my peripheral selection is all about function. So first I have my UTech Smart gaming mouse, which is actually my editing mouse. I have all 16 buttons on this thing mapped to functions and macros I use in the DaVinci Resolve edit page, and it has cut so much time off my editing process. And so has this. This is the Blackmagic Speed Editor. This is built for the Resolve cut page, and again, it's made the process of chopping up my A-roll and laying in B-roll so much faster. And finally, for working in Photoshop and some other apps, I have my Wacom Intuos 4 XL digital tablet. I've used this especially for Photoshop for so long. Going to a mouse is difficult for me, even for the simple thumbnails I do, which is all I really use Photoshop for nowadays. But now we start to get into both the form and function area here. The desk is big, but my comfortable workspace is limited to right here, and like stacking peripherals is not ideal. But if you noticed at the beginning of the video, I had a pile of 3D printed parts. And while most of them were the speaker stands, some of them were rails that, while I was without power, I mounted under here for this. Taking advantage of the floating desk to stealthily store my control surfaces when I'm not using them. Okay, now I've retired my Cooler Master SK650 keyboard and MM711 mouse for now. I actually got those for my gaming PC, which is unfortunately on indefinite hold. I've given up trying to get a GPU. Anyway, let's not get into the rant. Point is here, I'm left with a glaring hole in my setup. No keyboard. So let's fix that. And to do that, we can move to my new set. Don't focus on that much as it is. It will be about function, but there will be, well, more form. But let's talk about this. The Keychron K6. Let's just get it out of the box. This is a 68 key, 65% keyboard. It's compatible with PC, Mac, and Android, and operates via Bluetooth or USB-C. There's some RGB lighting, which I'll probably keep off. And this is the upgraded version that has the aluminum frame, and most importantly, it's hot swappable. That's important because this has got Gateron blue switches. And I don't like clicky switches. I didn't really like any of the switches it came with, so this is a box of Gateron Alias Silent 60-gram tactile switches that I'm gonna hot swap in, or cold swap, it's off. Anyway, let's get to customizing a keyboard the cost-effective way. Okay, that is so much better. Not to worry, I will be using the blue switches in a future project. That'll also include much 3D printing, so be sure to get subscribed if you like custom keyboard stuff, but like under $200 kind of custom keyboard stuff. I'm not jumping down that rabbit hole. But back to this one, and I got this because first, it came with a lot of features for the price of just $100. It's compact, and it very closely matches my speed editor, or at least the dark gray keycaps do. I've been looking for a black, white, and red colorway keycap set to replace the light gray keycaps with, but all I found are ball-shaped keycaps or sets that were just way too expensive. I'm looking to keep it under 50 bucks, but if you guys have any suggestions, let me know in the comments. But for now, let's just complete the setup. Thanks for joining me for this one, guys. If you liked it, and considering you're still watching, you probably did, don't forget to hit that like and maybe consider subscribing to the channel. Links for everything are in the description below. As always, if you have any questions, be sure to ask. I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, stay safe. Wait, unless you have anything else for him. Nope, I think you got it covered. Okay, cut to that end screen then. Roger that.